It's all about context and what she stands for when she's not making money. When she's not making money, who is she? How is she showing up in the world? Does she care when it's not trending? No. I'm sad to say, in my own personal opinion today, she sadly proved to me she preferred to make money off of an alleged predator. And so, listen, if I am, here on YouTube, obviously on a show that's called E-Predators, and I am making some dollars doing this work, I better be the same person when I'm not streaming. Otherwise, I personally cannot sleep. I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to use my platform for good.
Oh boy, do I have a lot to talk about here. And this is not going to be some type of benefit of the doubt, because I have seen Alexa Nikolas's true colors here. And even if she thinks that she can somehow reverse this by going through Drake's documents and trying to sift out what she believes to be the truth here, I really don't care. To me, she has completely lost my trust. As a lot of you know, Alexa Nikolas was known for Zoe 101. She is now an advocate for predators. She has a podcast called E-Predators. That clip that I just showed you was actually from Alexa getting into a, ironically, similar beef about a similar situation that she finds herself in now. So for some of you that don't know, I will just quickly go over it. Alexa Nikolas had a situation with Christy Carlson Romano, the actress from the Even Stevens show, and she basically called out Christy for platforming Corey Feldman. He has allegations against him, and Christy platformed him anyway, even though his victim asked her not to and asked her to take the video down. Alexa rightfully called her out for platforming a predator, and then Christy takes down the podcast episode that Alexa was in on her channel, so it just caused this whole issue and this whole beef between them, whatever. Back a few months ago, I'm not exactly sure when, she made a video on Drake Bell, because Drake Bell is a fucking creep, a predator, an abuser, and just a piece of shit. She made a video calling him out, reacting to his plea hearing.
When I was 15, I noticed a huge shift.
He's laughing, looking at her like he has no idea what she's talking about. This is ridiculous. Dude, NBC News is literally saying, not even alleged here, Drake Bell victim, Drake Bell gives emotional court statement. Emotional. This is horrific to hear a child talking like this, that this happened to her. And you're literally smirking, acting like you have no idea what she's talking about. Dude, shame on you, man. Alleged, whatever. This is my opinion. Like, shame on you, dude. Emotional court statement. And the only person who's not fucking emotional is the person who pleaded guilty. I'm going to say it one more time with the entire screen for Drake Bell. Emotional statement. Court statement. And the only person who's not emotional is the person who pleaded guilty. Instead, that person is smirking. Smirking.
This is the reason why people liked Alexa, or why I liked her anyway, is because of how she called out these people. So, fast forward, now after this documentary that comes out, as you know, the Quiet on Set documentary that no one will shut the fuck up about, she now has privated her Drake Bell video that she made calling him out, now that he has come forward as being a victim of Brian Peck, a predator at Nickelodeon. Ever since that happened, she privated the Drake Bell video. She's blocking people who call her out on it. In one of her live streams, I called her a hypocrite, and I was timed out of the chat. She's also been caught liking some of his posts. So it seems like they've gotten really close since the last time that she's had something to say on him. It's crazy how her tune changes, isn't it? The thing is, this video is on Alexa, and how Alexa is a hypocrite, and how she tells people that she doesn't want to enable abusers. And she goes in about that a lot on our streams, a lot. But here she is enabling an abuser because there's a conflict of interest. here. It doesn't look so good that the Nick star that was abused is now the abuser. Alexa has even talked about the cycle of abuse when referring to Drake, but for some reason, she privated the video. That looks really bad to me. Usually she doesn't need any evidence to believe victims, but all of a sudden she needs to look through the documents. We always want to believe the victims and the survivors first until they give us reasonable things to question them on, or things that don't really add up in their story, right? We want to believe them because victims don't usually have evidence to prove that. They only have their verbal testimony. And that was Alexa's whole thing. And now with Drake, though, she needs to go on this big investigation off screen before she addresses it. And she chooses to ignore it, even though I've definitely left her comments on every single one of her videos asking the same question and letting people know that she's enabling Drake Bell. And I know people like to think that there has to be this perfect victim, that a victim can't be the bad guy. But in this case, that's what Drake Bell is. He's a victim and became the bad guy. And we can't enable that. And we can't allow people surrounding that to enable it for their own financial benefit. Thankfully, I have been seeing some YouTubers and obviously people online on Reddit calling Alexa out, and on Twitter. I want to specifically shout out Ofidoki and Paige Christie because they have been YouTubers that I have seen and watched that have called Alexa out specifically for this. Paige Christie specifically called Alexa out on Twitter. She said in a tweet, "You know the internet is forever, right? You can't just privatize a video because the perpetrator of the crime you rightfully recalled in October 2023 is now gaining popularity due to a documentary. So it's eat predators unless they can help you increase your own visibility." She then linked the stream that Alexa did do on Drake, but obviously when you go to click on it, it's privated. So I'm really glad that this person called Alexa out, because I felt like I was going crazy a little bit with the fact that I saw her privating the video, and a lot of people just kept defending her for that. So I'm glad that I can see that people are clearly not okay with this. As we can see just from a few of these Reddit posts, disappointed and confused. Yet again, I learned about Drake's survivor from Alexa. To hear her silence them like this is so triggering and heartbreaking. This is exactly the Christy Carlson Romano thing all over again, but from Alexa, who claims to know better. I wanted to give Alexa the benefit of the doubt, but this is extremely disappointing. It seems because the popular consensus is a very limited view of Drake as a survivor, people can't see it any other way. My abuser was abused as a kid too, but it still didn't change anything. He hurt me and others. You can both have sympathy for their kid self and condemn their actions as an adult. Not all victims become survivors who come out of it unscathed. Predators aren't always born. They can be made. Drake had the unique experience of both being extremely vulnerable to turning into a person who had power over others, particularly his young fans. Now you're probably wondering if Alexa has responded to this, and she has in a tweet saying, "For those asking about my private video, I now have every single report and all documents pertaining to the case. I will be going over every piece over the next few weeks and then going to revisit it via streaming. I am choosing to read diligently before I break it all down." I love how she's acting like she didn't do a stream calling him out where he's on camera laughing and smiling at his victim as she's giving her impact statement. It's incredible to me that she's pretending that she didn't make this video. Obviously, like I said, there are a lot of people that are defending her. I really don't care. To me, this is extremely hypocritical of her to do this and to pose as she's some big advocate for all victims. I'm extremely disappointed in Alexa because I thought that she was somebody that was rightfully calling out everybody no matter the circumstance, but really it just shows her own self-motivation here. She privates his video for him. It makes him look better to the public that an advocate for predators took down her video calling him out. I'm not the only one who sees this. Other people have called her out for this and him. Sure, you have to scroll through a bunch of bullshit where people are defending him in his music video, but there are definitely comments there that are calling him out. And that's how I got sucked into this whole rabbit hole, because something didn't feel right to me about this whole thing, this whole Drake thing, the music video coming out right after the documentary drops. Just, it felt icky. So these comments that people kept saying, I had to go looking and digging deeper, and I was really horrified by some of the accounts that I heard about Drake Bell. it just blows my mind that people want to justify his behavior or rewrite how things happened in their head, accusing his victims of lying because they don't want to believe that their precious idol did something horrific. And I get that. I get being disappointed by a lot of these people, these artists that we form these parasocial relationships with. We end up being disappointed by them, but we can't just allow them to get away with it or convince ourselves they didn't do anything wrong just because something bad happened to them in their past. We still have to hold them accountable. And Drake Bell does not want to be held accountable even if he pretends that he wants it. So while I was in preparation for making this video, and it was mainly supposed to be just on the Drake Bell stuff, I found some other disturbing information about Alexa Nikolas, and these are allegations. I want to put that out there, but I do believe that these things did happen, and I am going to read all of this, even though it is long and detailed, because I think it's important that we get this story out there, and I really do want Alexa to be held accountable. So this was posted by someone named Kaylee Gray. Hello all. I type out this petition as a rape survivor, CSA bullying and abuse survivor. I am not here to destroy Alexa Nikolas. I want her to become a better person. People don't become better people without being held accountable. Also, let me clarify, this is not a revenge petition. I'm not angry that Alexa Nikolas blocked me via her personal Instagram account. I'm not angry that an unknown person banned me from Alexa's Discord server. I'm here out of concern for the mental and physical well-being of the current and former members and supporters of Eat Predators community. I was once a member of the Eat Predators community, and I was an avid supporter of Alexa Nikolas. I joined the Eat Predators Discord server and felt welcomed at first. That stated, it didn't take long for me to feel unsafe, glossed over, ignored, etc. I first privately made Alexa, as well as a server moderator who uses the moniker Innuendo, aware of issues that I had experienced and observed in the server, as well as about DMs that I had received from a follow server member. The DMs had upset me and made me uncomfortable. I also explained that multiple people had reached out to me about a different server member who glossed over them, as well as me, in the server. Alexa and Innuendo knew the names of the two people I referenced, because they asked for the names, which I then provided. Both members were still in the server after I reported them, and they were conducting themselves in the same manner in which I had reported them for. One day, a fellow server member DM'd me upset about the same two people. This set me off, and then I chose to address the server issues within the server, since clearly the issues were still a problem, and reaching out privately to Alexa and Innuendo hadn't solved the problem. One of the people causing issues thought that I was referring to her in my server comments, even though I didn't name her. The leader of the survivor listening circle DM'd me to ask me names of who I was referring to. I gave her names. One of the people then joined the server listening circle. She hadn't participated since the first circle because she knew that the leader isn't a licensed mental health professional, so she was apprehensive about being in the circle again, and the leader let her speak. This person named and shamed me. She screamed about me and at me in front of a virtual group of people, the survivor listening circle. I almost had a full-blown panic attack. My boyfriend witnessed this, and at the time, I felt set up by the leader because she knew who it was, and she still let her talk. She told me she didn't think that she was going to do that. Moving on, I apologized in the server and tried to move on with my life. Later, I noticed my membership was about to be up for renewal, and I messaged the server moderator about it because I didn't want to lose server access. They told me that they'd tried to make sure that I didn't lose server access. Not long after that, I did lose access. Thinking it was related to my membership renewal, I spent my own money to renew my membership. Alexa will tell you that someone else paid for my renewal, which is not true, and I have proof. One of my friends sent me a server invite link, and that's how I realized someone had banned me from the server. No one bothered to communicate it to me. Then a moderator DM'd me via X/Twitter to ask me if I knew anything about someone reaching out to Alexa in a threatening way. Of course, this upset me because I knew nothing about it, and the implication that I might was incredibly hurtful to me. The next thing that I knew, Alexa DM'd me via Instagram insinuating that I sent one of my friends to threaten her. She even told me to send screenshots to prove that I didn't send my friend to threaten Alexa, and that explicitly asked my friend to not threaten Alexa. I sent Alexa proof. Also, the only thing that my friend threatened was accountability, taking Alexa down. My friend used wording that I personally wouldn't use. That's correct. She did make valid points though. Alexa also mentioned that I didn't pay for my membership renewal, which isn't true, which I have proof of, and she then insinuated that I gave the previously mentioned server member permission to scream at me, which is also not true. Alexa wasn't even present during the survivor listening circle and sent a screenshot screenshot of comments of mine that I had posted after this person had already screamed at me, in an attempt to spin/twist the narrative in such a way that would absolve anyone from her server of any wrongdoing. This is also based on a lie. Alexa twists, spins, lies, and deceives. Instead of apologizing to me about what she had done to me in her own server, she took the time to lie to me about my own lived experience. Later, she posted a defamatory and slanderous members-only YouTube video about me in which she named me and claimed that I had harassed her and spammed moderators. Both of these statements are false and are an attempt at covering up the truth, which is her and her moderators' wrongdoing. Later, 2 different moderators came to me to let me know that Alexa had instructed moderators to keep tabs on me via social media. One of the 2 moderators also let me know that Alexa stigmatized me behind my back, stating that I check BPD boxes, simply because I expressed to Alexa in confidence that the listening circle experience had made me feel set up. Mind you, I've only ever been diagnosed with anxiety. That's highly inappropriate of Alexa to make those kinds of comments behind my back. And it's hypocritical considering the fact that she wants her viewers/subscribers/the public to think that she doesn't want any survivor to be stigmatized for their mental health struggles, trauma, triggers, etc. Meanwhile, the actual Alexa actually actively stigmatizes and contributes to the stigmatization of a survivor from her own community. A survivor who had supported her, she knew I had publicly supported her and promoted her. Alexa also charged my Chime account for a YouTube monthly subscription 2 months in a row after I had already canceled my membership. There's also her inept business practices. Merch takes 4+ weeks to receive. There is no shipping estimate accompanying the merch or ePredators.com, and you have to ask Alexa for updates yourself and hope for a response. She also asked for survivors to email their survivor story to her. There isn't even an auto-response message to inform someone that the email has been received. And Alexa read no more than 2 to 3 survivor stories and 1 survivor poem total. There's also the fact that the concept of Survivor of the Week puts survivors in competition with one another/pits survivors against one another. It's time for Alexa to resign from Eat Predators. She had proven that she isn't worthy of being a true survivor advocate. She has defamed, slandered, stigmatized, and allegedly incited harassment of me/myself as well as other survivors from her own community/people who have actively supported her. For someone who prides herself in being truthful, I have caught her in multiple lies. For someone who claims to be an advocate for abuse, bullying, and rape survivors, she sure has allegedly bullied myself as well as other individuals. Genuine survivor advocates don't treat other survivors the way that she has treated me and other survivors. A dishonest, harmful source isn't a credible source, and they aren't a trustworthy source to lead an advocacy movement for survivors. Per a moderator, they experience Alexa using her position of power to manipulate, control, and take advantage of them. This is ironic considering the fact that Alexa continuously references the fact that Dan Schneider took advantage of his position of power and control, whilst also allegedly doing the same exact thing herself. What else has Alexa deceived us about and allegedly lied to us about? Per Kristen Herrera, I have the screenshots. She did not bully Alexa Nikolas on the set of Zoe 101. Considering the way that Alexa has treated me, I feel inclined to take Kristen's comments into consideration. There's also the fact that Alexa allegedly claimed that Michael Milosh of the band RHYE manipulated/forced her into taking nude pictures at the age of 18, which she later implied that he may have allegedly leaked those nude pictures online. Per 3 articles I've read, and I know this could be false, it's worth taking into consideration though. At one point in time, Vanessa Hudgens thought it was possible that Alexa Nikolas leaked pictures that they took together, as well as nude pictures of Vanessa Hudgens, the nudes that were leaked in 2011. Alexa was friends with Vanessa back in 2011, is in pictures with Vanessa, kissing her, and she even appeared in a music video of Vanessa Hudgens. Also worth noting, by Alexa's own admission in an article/interview, she first heard Milosh's music at the age of 16 while tripping on acid with her boyfriend at the time. She claimed that she knew that she wanted to marry him during this acid trip. I don't dismiss the fact that Milosh is old enough to be Alexa's father, and I don't think he ever should have interacted with her. Not at the age of 16, nor at the age of 18. I'm not dismissing the allegations against him. I just find it concerning that Alexa failed to mention this during any of her latter posts, comments, and videos about Milosh. Why is that? Lastly, no survivor advocate should defend a convicted predator, especially not an advocacy movement named Eat Predators. Drake Bell is convicted for child endangerment, as well as for disseminating harmful content to a child. Alexa has always known this. She talked about it in a previous exposed video that she had posted about Drake Bell. She also mentioned the picture that was taken of Drake and appeared appeared to be him getting high in front of his son in broad daylight. There are also multiple exes of Drake who have alleged that he abused them. There are also numerous people who have alleged that he raped them when they were a child. Yes, Drake Bell is also a survivor of CSA at the hands of Brian Peck. That stated, so long as Alexa claims to be a survivor advocate and leads a movement which is named Eat Predators, her mission should be to platform survivors, not a predator who has been convicted for being a predator. This petition aims to call attention to the fact that Alexa Nikolas should be held legally accountable for defaming and slandering people, call for Alexa to be deplatformed from YouTube since she has posted multiple defamatory and slanderous videos via her Eat Predators YouTube channel, call for Alexa to immediately resign from Eat Predators due to alleged dereliction of duties among other things. My concerns for safety are valid because myself as well as 2 other people have come close to committing suicide as a result of Alexa Nikolas's actions. Note, the cover image is a screenshot of a Twitter/X DM that a moderator of the Eat Predators Discord server sent to me. I chose this image to prove that I'm not just making these claims up. Okay, so that was a lot to take in, and I do want to break down some important stuff here. First of all, we go into, again, my point about Alexa being a hypocrite in the fact that she chooses which survivors to platform, as well as this Discord server that is supposed to be for survivors to have a safe space to be able to talk to one another and feel connected to one another. Alexa has created such a toxic environment and has surrounded herself with moderators that also create a toxic environment for survivors. Again, as someone who's supposed to be an advocate, this is very hypocritical that she would allow an environment like this to take place and then go on a YouTube video for her members only where she bitches about how this person wronged her. Again, Alexa having to be the victim, and it seems that way a lot, that she has to be the victim in every scenario. This is incredibly irresponsible of Alexa as an influencer, as somebody that a lot of people looked up to in their childhoods, that have a parasocial relationship with her, and she is taking advantage of these people who are vulnerable survivors and creating this very inappropriate environment for people, and then advocating to be somebody for all survivors and then picking and choosing which ones fit the narrative for her. It's incredibly disheartening to see Alexa act like this, especially because she'll go on her own live streams and bitch about how the Ned's Declassified podcast is acting very childish in high school, when this is not even just acting childish in high school, but it's sickening to cause people to feel suicidal because of Alexa and how she twists things to fit her own narrative. She comes off as petty. Her behavior also comes off as vindictive and toxic. The way she will attack a certain person in her own audience is incredibly irresponsible and disgusting of Alexa. And to then go on her memberships only and then bitch about it even more and basically encourage people to send hate this person's way is incredibly petty, childish, and like I said, disgusting. All of this is behavior of somebody that is completely opposite of who they pretend to be on this screen in front of us, but allegedly is this disgusting bully.
It's all about context and what she stands for when she's not making money. When she's not making money, who is she? How is she showing up in the world?
That I am very horrified by the things that I have dug up on Alexa in the last couple of days, the things that I keep finding, the things that I keep seeing in her behavior. She ignores everything about the Drake Bell thing. It's very disgusting of her to do that and then claim how she wants to have the same morals when she goes to sleep at night. Yeah, give me a fucking break. Alexa also has the tendency to stretch things in order to fit her more sinister narrative about Dan Schneider. And don't get me wrong, Dan is a fucking awful creep, manipulator, someone that abused their position, caused emotional trauma for so many children and adults alike. It is horrifying about all of the experiences that these children had to go through at the expense of our entertainment. And I'm not trying to negate that. However, there were times I would watch her streams and I'd think, okay, she's kind of pushing it or forcing it. For example, she'd always constantly immediately say, as a mother, or as a survivor this, or as a survivor that. As a survivor, I didn't like that. And it's like, okay, I get it. You're a survivor. I get it. We know this, Alexa. You talk about it all the time. It's the whole thing is about you being a survivor. And it always felt to me like she had to keep bringing this up as a way to get attention. Like this stream she does on 2 other Nick stars about their terrible experiences on Nickelodeon. She spent a long time in the middle bringing up her stalker situation again. I'd always think this in the back of my head, but I'd be like, okay, it's whatever, you know, she's just, this is her way of processing things, it's whatever. But I get this really weird feeling in my gut, but I just kind of dug it down because I'm like, it's for a good cause. But she brings herself up a lot when talking about other people, and especially about Nickelodeon, that she always has to be the center of the conversation about every other person, while at the same time she'll use the face of other victims to clickbait people so you can go watch a tangent about her bitching about the Amanda Show website or the slap. Like, we get it, Alexa. Dan is a creep. Let's talk about something else. Like, let's talk about what we can do on like an actual advocacy level to maybe make change in law. Let me give you a specific example of what I'm talking about, where I mean that Alexa kind of spins something to make it fit her narrative. Kind of like what we just saw with this long account of this person's experience with Alexa's Discord server. This is the same kind of thing that I noticed a little bit, where one of the streams she was looking at the Nickelodeon foot logo, and of course you probably know where this is going, where she immediately has to like connect it to Dan Schneider.
And it could be a coincidence, sure. But it's weird when you see how much foot content was being pushed out when Dan Schneider became part of Nickelodeon, and that the logo, literally the logo at that time, was a foot. And for me, I just don't find that to be a coincidence. So yeah, so 1998 was the first time people saw the Nickelodeon foot. And remember, 1994 is when all that, I guess, was part of Nickelodeon, and it went all the way until 2020. But interesting that the foot was after Brian Robbins, Dan Schneider, etc. came into the picture.
And I just think, in my head, I'm like, this is just like a coincidence. Like, Nickelodeon is always known to be quirky. They do game shows where they get slime poured on their heads and all of this, like, quirky stuff. So I just think that them having a foot logo was just quirky, and it stood out probably to them. I don't really think that it has anything to do with Dan, let alone he'd be able to have that influence and power over the logo anyway. I just think that it's a huge coincidence that Dan happens to be a creep that Nickelodeon hired that has a foot fetish or whatever the fuck. There's also this other small thing that I'm gonna bring up. It's not necessarily Alexa, but I feel like because of the narrative of her being bullied so much on Zoe 101, people are like trying to find examples in the film to like make it seem like everything was, oh, this big conspiracy against Alexa. So there was a shot in Zoe 101 where Alexa gets bonked on the head by one of the kids in the back. You can see on Alexa that she's kind of upset, but keeps going with the scene. And to me, it just felt like it was an accident that nobody wanted to go back and re-record. Probably they just didn't want to waste any more production time on refilming the scene, so they just kind of kept it. But the person in this TikTok or whatever kind of makes it seem as if like this was all intentionally left in, and I feel like it's because of Alexa saying how much she was bullied so much on the set. And I'm not saying that Dan did not emotionally abuse her at all. I'm not saying that none of the experience that happened didn't happen. I'm just saying that I feel because of the way Alexa twists things and the way we have examples of her twisting the narrative, this is the kind of narrative that people are walking away with, that things were sinister this whole time and everybody was against Alexa. And I don't think it was like that. I just think it was a toxic work environment for all the kids on the set. So she obviously got bullied to a certain extent or experienced some type of bad stuff, but it just shows that this narrative is being twisted, like it's like they were always against her or something like that. And I'm not saying that there wasn't some intent on Dan that was like being like hateful or spiteful towards Alexa at all. I don't want to discredit it at all. It's just, I don't know, certain things that the way the narrative gets twisted is a little weird. And this isn't the only time that she's shown signs of being a hypocrite, of being self-serving. It's just a lot of this stuff I'm starting to notice since the Drake Bell thing. And I think that was too big for me not to notice. And that's when I started thinking back to all of these other little things. I just don't like the way she carries herself. And it didn't sit right with me when thinking back on a lot of these things. I even at one point wanted to believe that the girl was lying about Drake Bell, because again, we want to believe this perfect victim narrative, but it's just, we have a situation where a victim has become the perpetrator that has done this for too long and continues to do this. Please watch Ofidoki's video on Alexa for a more in-depth look at her behavior, because it really speaks about all the problems with Alexa and with e-predators, and she has a very nuanced look at it, and I really appreciated this video that really took apart all of Alexa's behaviors. Alexa wants to be validated. She wants a platform where people validate her. She complains and gets paid for it. Even if that means manipulating her audience into thinking she's doing this for a noble cause, she's still doing the same things that other YouTubers do. She capitalizes on her childhood. She uses flashy thumbnails. She spells words out so the algorithm will pick up her video type of thing. And all of these behaviors just read like I'm more concerned with getting the video out there than making sure that I'm advocating for the victims in a respectful manner. A lot of these things come off as scummy, considering the fact that she's so against it when other people capitalize on survivors. And if you're not fully convinced about the financial aspect of things, then I want you to watch this. Look what happens when I type in Eat Predators and then click on the first link immediately to the merch site. Before even the About page comes up, it's the merch site. The About page isn't even till the third link down. I think her intentions are pretty clear there. She pretends to be an advocate, but the way she goes about earning money is completely self-serving. So Alexa posted a tweet about Matt Bennett and the fact that he uses this Party 101 logo to advertise his DJ thing or whatever, this event. I guess what she's saying in this tweet is that he shouldn't be using Dan Schneider properties to platform himself or something. And I don't care if the reason is different, Alexa. You can't call someone out for doing something and you're doing the same thing. I don't care what your reason is for doing it, but you also monetize on your childhood stardom. So please stop acting like you are above it all. I have no problem with people using their fame as a way to get their name out there or their past works or whatever. It's what it is. It's a part of the capitalist game. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I hate it, but it's how people keep themselves relevant. What I do hate is the fact that Alexa calls people out when she uses her own fame to get views on her channel and to get money for merchandise. Yeah, look at this. She uses Zoe 101, Eat Predators Academy, so she can get $45 from a fucking t-shirt. Or she'll use her child picture in certain thumbnails to drag attention so she can get more clicks. It's all about the algorithm. It's all about money.
So listen, if I am, here on YouTube, obviously on a show that's called Eat Predators, and I am making some dollars.
And it's just, I see through it, and the more I kept looking into Alexa, the more these financial motivations became clear to me about her. She hates Zoe 101 so much, or she claims to have such a bad experience, but she doesn't mind using the branding so she can get money for her fucking ugly t-shirt. Speaking of the merch situation, Alexa has made a limited time run of Sickelodian t-shirts, and she just has no sense of guilt or remorse about any of it. She has been getting called out for it, but she just seems to block people or just ignore it entirely because she thinks that her cause excuses her from doing the same disgusting practices that a lot of these capitalists do when they prey on vulnerable people and take advantage of their trauma and their circumstances so they can make money off of it. You're doing the exact same fucking thing. And it doesn't make your case look good when you're on fucking Twitter complaining about how you're not getting any money from Nickelodeon for any of it. It seems like it is about the money though, because in multiple occasions you've complained about how Nickelodeon profits off of your trauma, but you profit off of your trauma. Are you going to give any of those people on Quiet on Set any money for them coming in and having to tell their stories off of the Nickelodeon t-shirts? You going to do that? I want to make it clear that I do believe these claims about the Discord server just off of little things, behaviors in Alexa that I have seen on screen, things that rubbed me the wrong way. I believe that she is actually like this behind the screen. I believe that she acts like this because she thinks that she's better than everybody else, but she wants to come off like she's relatable and down to earth like the rest of us because she's fighting for a noble cause. But I'm starting to not buy that anymore. I'm starting to think that this really was a grift. I mean, she's on fucking Megyn Kelly, for God's sake. Megyn Kelly. When I saw that, I couldn't even believe it. It really just starts to make me question her whole ethics on all of this. Her whole thing about this whole Eat Predators movement is like hard to tell what she wants this to be at this point, because her live streams tend to be just her complaining about stuff or her talking about stuff. That is important, don't get me wrong. We want to tell the stories of these survivors and stuff, but it just feels wrong to me that she monetizes off of that. I doubt that any of the money that she makes from, all of her merchandise goes to the people of the stories she's talking about in her live streams. I guess I'm not as angry with Christy Carlson Romano when she does it. I mean, I'm upset that she put Corey Feldman on specifically and shouldn't have done that. Don't get me wrong, he's disgusting and he should not have been platformed. But I don't hold as much responsibility on Christy because she never said that she was an advocate for predators, for a whole movement like Alexa does. And she doesn't really call people out on it because, again, she's doing the same thing, so Christy's not going to call someone out on doing it, but Alexa has the audacity to do it though. And because it doesn't have the Eat Predators objective, she gets to be absolved from any responsibility in anything that she's done. She acts like she's the face of the entire movement, but she's not. I don't like how she intermingles casual super chats with very serious topics about victims. It just feels really inappropriate, and I just don't think it's the right thing to do when you're talking about vulnerable subjects. And now just reflecting back on all of this stuff with Alexa, now I understand why I felt so weird about the whole thing. She'll bring up her stories a lot when talking about other victim stories. She wants to be the face of Eat Predators alone instead of it being a collective where survivors all feel empowered together. As far as the Vanessa Hudgens whole nude leaked photos, I don't know how much validity these claims actually hold. I did look into it a little, and there was a huge mass email leaked. This person claimed to have known a girl that Alexa had been hanging out with at the time, and that this person thinks that Alexa and this other girl might have been responsible for this nude leak thing. A lot of speculation apparently came out about thinking that maybe it was to try to ruin Vanessa Hudgens' career. I mean, I don't know, like I said, any of the claims to that, but all I can say is with everything that we do know, especially if what these allegations are saying is true about Alexa making a membership only video where she talks about this person and names them, I wouldn't put Alexa leaking nude photos out of the realm of possibility. I don't know her on a personal level, but from the behaviors that I've seen, it seems like she is vindictive and somebody that will go after somebody. Like I said, her behavior seems very attention seeking, and thinking about it a lot in hindsight, this behavior surprises me and also doesn't at the same time. So Alexa was in a sexually abusive marriage with a man named Mike Milosh, a Canadian electronic musician for an indie band. I also noticed something else. Watch this clip.
I want to make something very clear. The reason that these particular incidents did not result any further than oral sex was because the defendant knew that I was menstruating at the time. Had I not been menstruating then, he would have raped me. Don't look at me like that.
That was testimony from the person that Drake Bell assaulted. Now I'm going to read to you something that Alexa disclosed about her abusive relationship with Michael Milosh. My first sexual experience with Milosh was the first night I arrived in Berlin. I was 18 years old, and he was 35 years old. I took a shower and was on my period, which I remember feeling good because I didn't want to sleep with him anyway. I wanted to postpone sleeping together so we could get to know one another. She says the musician played some music for her and asked her to get naked. She continues. I told him no. I'm on my period and I don't feel comfortable. He responded saying he doesn't care about having sex while a girl is on her period. He also said he likes the taste of blood. I remember feeling very uncomfortable, but I was attracted to him, and I did not want our first experience to be spoiled. I did not respect my no, and neither did he. Isn't it sad, Alexa, how you and this girl have a very similar experience? You'd think that Alexa would sympathize with a situation that hits so close to home, but she still blocked the video that called out Drake Bell. I think that's what's so sickening in this. worse that even Alexa, who should have sympathy or empathy for this girl, she doesn't even care. After they divorced, Alexa, along with other victims in the music industry, gathered to create Eat Predators. The name was created off of a Diplo poster that read Eat the Rich, so they decided to change it to Eat Predators. I'm saying this because it seems like Eat Predators was supposed to be something different. I imagine more on the lines of a non-profit organization that could have gone to actually helping survivors and victims of abuse. But of course, Alexa hijacked the whole thing and made her the face of it. There's nothing inherently wrong about having a selfish motivation to want to help people and make a change. I think a lot of people are motivated by personal experiences, and that makes them want to make a change for a lot of other people that go through the same thing. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But considering everything that I've said about Alexa, her motivations seem to be less about changing the industry and more about changing the amount of zeros in her bank account. Sorry, that was immature. But I'm just saying, it's really unfair that she rides off the backs of these victims and uses them to platform herself. Merchandise in general doesn't sit right with me. It's just a moral thing I have about sponsorships and merchandise and that whole capitalism thing. I really hate it and can't stand it. However, when it's something like this where you're advocating for survivors, it's especially fucking disgusting. And then calling other people out or calling industries out for doing it when you're doing it on your own platform through the guise of being a movement that goes up against industries with predators. It's hypocritical, it's gross, and I hate it. Alexa wants attention for the things that she's been through. She wants to be seen as a victim. That's how it seems to me. It always seems like she wants to constantly remind everybody that she's a survivor. It seems to be about attention, and I really don't like that. That whole clip of Alexa where she's talking about Jeanette McCurdy's book and acting so self-righteous, like she just wanted to go protest Nickelodeon.
In 2019, I never got a book deal or anything. I never had like a YouTube channel or anything. I never really had anything. And so I just wanted to get the information out. And so I went on Instagram Live and told a lot of my story about Zoe 101 and Dan Schneider, etc. And nobody came to me about it. But no one came forward to me. Like no one came to me, wanted to talk to me, wanted to make an article about it. Honestly, wanted anything. Didn't want to do anything with what I was coming forward about. And fast forward when Jeanette McCurdy's book came out, and well deserved. That was a long time coming. And the thing with that, though, was once I read Jeanette McCurdy's thing, instead of thinking about my own book deal or like my own YouTube channel, I was like, I'm gonna go protest fucking Nickelodeon because fuck Nickelodeon.
But you can tell that Alexa is upset that she didn't get a book deal or she wanted it to just fall in her laps or something. Like, Jeanette had to work hard to make that book happen. She didn't just get a book because she's a Nickelodeon star. The book is barely on Nickelodeon, honestly, in its entirety. But that's really all Alexa took from it because that's all she sees Jeanette as, is the Nickelodeon star that got abused by Nickelodeon and not this poor woman that has gone through so much abuse by her mother over her entire life. It's completely disgusting. And then Alexa has a paywall where she fucking has a book club for Eat Predators where she can fucking read Jeanette's book and then bitch about how she was abused at Nickelodeon. Probably barely even taking insight on the abuse that her mother put her through her whole life. Because Alexa has her mother that holds her hand through everything. She's constantly in her live streams all the time. Alexa has her mother by her side, so of course she's not going to be able to relate to that. And the fact that Alexa completely negates that and makes this about Nickelodeon is just so disrespectful to me, because Jeanette is a survivor of abuse and all of the people that exploited her over this whole industry. It's just when somebody acts so above it all, usually they have a lot to hide. I believe that she had her moderators looking into this random person that was calling her out in her Discord server because she didn't want them calling her out. I believe that. She seems petty enough to do that, and not even just that, but she caused emotional trauma to multiple people. Even though she wants to create this safe space for survivors, she just wants to create a space where people validate her so she can fucking fill her ego. And I know I sound kind of hostile about this, and I probably should just remember that I don't know Alexa personally, and I understand that. I guess I'm just getting angry for a lot of the people that she exploited and that she keeps getting away with because she has multiple people that she's culminated into this group that will defend her no matter what, because it's for a noble cause. so people will just give her a pass, even when she's doing the same fucking horrible shit that other people do. Like I said, she constantly spills the tea with her audience on her live streams, acting like she is making a difference in doing this. I would rather her just be fucking straight up and say, yeah, I just want to make money off of my childhood stardom. This whole thing is important to people, and Alexa turns it into something that's about her. And this isn't about her. It's about people that experience abuse and want to be heard and validated and want to feel safe and want help. You don't want to create change in this system in a meaningful way, Alexa. And it's very clear by a lot of the subtle things that you've done that a lot of people probably wouldn't notice. But the Drake Bell thing for me was too large. It slipped through the cracks, and I was able to see that something wasn't right about the situation. And then after looking into everything else, all of this information just convinces me that Alexa Nikolas is somebody that only really cares about her own image and really cares about making money for herself. She is a hypocrite, and I don't think that people should support her if they actually care about survivors and the well-being of everything that e-predators should stand for, but it doesn't. She has made a mockery, honestly, of this whole movement and has created more of a group of toxic people that are unwilling to hear things or hold people accountable. I want things to change for people so they don't have to go through this trauma, but Alexa doesn't really care about that, and it's very obvious to me. So I'm very disgusted and disappointed with her. I wasn't even one of the people that financially supported her, even though I was going to, or at least I was actually considering it, until I started noticing a lot of the things that just didn't seem right about this whole thing. The constant advertisement of merch, the Drake Bell situation, then looking into this horrific situation with the Discord server. There's just so much with Alexa that just comes off as petty high school bully to me. I can't be in a community with people that want to validate that, because that's not what this whole thing should be about. I don't know Alexa personally, but from what I've seen, the behaviors, she doesn't seem like a good person whose motives are in the right place. All I can say is she's a hypocrite.
It's all about context and what she stands for when she's not making money. When she's not making money, who is she? How is she showing up in the world? Does she care when it's not trending? No. I'm sad to say, in my own personal opinion today, she sadly proved to me she preferred to make money off of an alleged predator. And so, listen, if I am, here on YouTube, obviously on a show that's called E-Predators, and I am making some dollars doing this work, I better be the same person when I'm not streaming. Otherwise, I personally cannot sleep. I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to use my platform for good.